Chapter 6 Mephistopheles. Mephisto is a devil among devils, the god of murderers and killers. It was Mephisto that alerted Asmodeus to the treachery that Beelzebub was preparing. Whatever his plans were, whatever he was doing, he knew Jason was here. Long had the devil in charge of the hell for assassins planned for the arrival of the Metamind. Unlike his brethren, he had never taken a single unnecessary risk. His frame was frail for a god. The psychic power of Jason could easily destroy him if it were an option. In the sixth layer of hell, those that took the lives of others were damned to feel death for all eternity. There was a curse that lingered over every soul here. Everyone here begged for a death they will feel but never embrace. "These souls are different from the other souls in the other hells," Clemo commented on the peculiarity of the spirits having physical bodies. Mortal flesh wrapped around the damned souls of murderers. The two stood in a prison cell looking out of a small window upon a courtyard. The glow of magic that should be around Clemo's eye was not present. Clemo pondered if this Beelzebub was still fooling them. He dismissed the thought immediately, recognizing the truth of their situation. The teleporter looked at Fission. The blade was dim, not glowing its powerful green aura. Something suppressed its power. Jason flexed his hands while shaking his head. "Am I correct in assuming that your powers do not work here either?" Clemo looked at his comrade, nodding his agreement. Having already drawn Fission, the one-eyed, one-eared teleporter readied himself for a fight. "I have no idea what to expect here. All I know is it will take a lot more than suppressing our powers to stop us." The double doors before them rattled from people shaking it from the other side. They swung open inwardly, being pushed by dozens of men with a look in their eyes that was little more than suggestive of madness. They seized the heroes. Clemo managed to stab one in the heart. The man collapsed onto the floor, clutching his fatal wound. Shouts from these mad men made their intent obvious. "Get them!" Clemo was bound faster than he could resist. Jason somehow vanished. While trying to escape his bonds, Clemo was socked in the face from an assailant that attacked his blind side, thus knocking him out. "Wake up!" Clemo was smacked in the face by the hand of the voice. Opening his eye, he saw three men before him. None of them were familiar. They were large. Pulling on his restraints assured Clemo that he was still bound, but not gagged. "Too bad we were only able to get you. He wanted both of you, but made a bigger deal out of you." "Mephisto," Clemo whispered. The middleman leaned forward, close to Clemo's mouth. "What's that, Runt? You got something to say?" "Just take me to your devil god." He pulled back, laughing. "Oh, he is your god now. You will respect the pecking order. Just below me are them." He pointed at the two on the left and right. "Below them are the weaklings that wipe our asses. Below them is you. Understood?" Clemo opened his mouth to speak, but was smacked a second time by the brute. "I did not give you permission to speak." He paused, giving Clemo a chance to give a rebuttal. Clemo said nothing. "Ah, good. Not an idiot. I wouldn't go so far as to say that this is hopeless for you, yet there is no hope. But I would say you will make a great bootlicker. Probably won't last long in a fight, though, on account of that one arm." He chuckled. Clemo managed to smile through a tiny trickle of blood beginning to form from his mouth. "I could take any one of you one-on-one." The middleman slapped him again. Shaking his head, he said, "A pity. You struck me as a quick learner. Ah, well." He snapped his fingers as his face lit up with an idea. "All right, let's take him this time for a lesson. Boys, let him go." The man looked at him confused. "You sure, boss?" The middleman waved his hand, dismissing the question. "Show our new friend here a fair fight." Showing no expression on their faces, they walked over to Clemo and began pummeling him further, beating him down while he was tied up. Some of his bones even broke from the beating. The middleman snapped his finger. All right, that's enough. The two men ceased. They looked up at the middleman. Okay, now continue. The next punch broke his ribs. They continued without relent. Now show him what makes this hell. Hell. One of the men plunged their right hand through Klimo's already broken ribs, pulling his heart out. The pain was immense. A sensation of death gripped the nerfed teleporter, and everything went black. Terrible pain surged all across his body. Klimo felt his limbs form, giving a ripping sensation as he felt every organ grant a sensation of bursting as they reformed. His muscles tore as they crawled across his body. Then finally skin burned all across his frame, giving him new life. His eyelids slowly opened. The room was dark. Looking down at his chest, the wound was gone. Was that a dream, or was I healed? If you want to call that healing, sure. A voice answered from another room, unseen from this one. Who are you? Does it matter? Klimo shrugged. Having no idea how to respond, he realized that he had both arms and both eyes. He looked at his hands, astonished. How? Do I have my body restored? You must be new here, the voice answered. You will grow to hate that, trust me. He shook his head, confused by that statement. Why would I? Klimo took in his surroundings. There was nothing in this stone room, only a single door from which to come and go. That door had the classic tiny barred window from which to look in and out of. Walking to it, he saw nothing but a hallway and another door across from his cell. A face looked back at him from there. You! Both men said in recognition to each other. Warlock, I killed you, Klimo said. The warlock laughed. Yes, you did. I am glad you are here to suffer too. Where the fuck did you think I would go? At least you deserve to be here. Don't talk to me. The warlock withdrew his face from the window. Klimo did the same. He crouched down, pondering what to do, only to realize that he could do nothing so long as he remained here. New voices were heard approaching down the unseen hall. They laughed and mocked with their tones and words. Some cackled as others sent their voice down the hall, ensuring their voice was heard. We're coming for you and your friend. Klimo peeked out of the window to view the threat, mentally preparing himself. They arrived. There were a dozen of them, all bigger and stronger than himself. They had shackles, ropes, and bladed weapons with them. One man carried a saw. They were facing the warlock's cell. We made sure to put you guys right next to each other since you are such good friends. The man talking turned to Klimo's cell. We want you to know that hell has no reward for failure like this man. He pointed at the warlock's cell. He has failed hell, and I want his torment to be left to your imagination. Take him to the place, boys. His cell opened up, and the warlock's screams were heard as three of the men dragged him away. The leader here, who was the same middleman from earlier, waited until those screams were too far away until he turned his full attention back to Klimo. Now for you. His own cell opened up, and the men rushed in. Klimo punched two of them prior to them overpowering his body. Holding him down, they laughed. Now then, we here in the sixth hell do like to have somewhat of a sense of what is and what is not proper. Call it, he paused, giving his hand on his chin, trying to form the right words. Call it a spirit of fairness. You now have more than what you came here with. We should fix that. He nodded at the man holding the bone saw. That man approached Klimo with an insidious smile across his face. 4 men held Klimo down. There was nothing he could do. The saw had a tinge of red across it that was either blood or rust. It was too dark to tell. His magic eyes did not work here. The saw tore through his skin and then muscle. Through the pain, the condition of the red was evident. The saw was in poor shape. This made its work all the more torturous. Every stroke of that wretched saw was agony. Through this terrible effort of removing his arm, the man causing the pain enjoyed every moment. When the work was done, he had handed the arm to the other man that had not spoken. 3 men still held Clemo down. The middleman snapped his fingers. The bone saw man dropped the saw, then took from his pocket some kind of scooping tool. And that too, the middleman said, pointing at Clemo's renewed eye. Their work was grueling, and would not cease until they were satisfied with the removal of all new parts of Clemo. Afterwards, they left Clemo too bloodied, suffering, and weak to move in his cell. He still bled. They left, laughing. Their echoes were heard, fading, until Clemo was certain he was alone once again. Using part of his shirt, he tied a tourniquet around the stump of an arm. Then he stuffed some dirty portions of his shirt into his eye socket. Through the ache, he stopped the bleeding. Shortly thereafter, he passed out. Waking up, still alone and still in anguish, the one-armed, one-eyed former teleporter sat up in his stone cell. The bleeding stopped, but the misery persisted. I have to get out of here. His thirst and hunger pains formed. He dismissed them without care, and they felt strange. Thinking for a moment, if only to distract himself from his situation. When was the last time I have felt hunger? For decades I have relied on my natural psychic ability to nourish my body. I have not eaten since I forgone my humanity and became an Elin. Now I feel hungry and thirsty. New screams broke the long silence, screams that originated from the cell across from his own. He forced his weakened body up, then walked to the tiny window. From his vantage point, he actually saw, within that other cell, a small mass of organic matter moving on its own, shaping into the form of a man. What the hell is that? Limbs formed through the screams, and even a head. A face was revealed. The face of the warlock. Bones grew, then muscle tissue over that, and finally skin over that. Somehow clothing grew over his skin, the same clothing Clemo wore. The warlock ceased his screaming at that moment. He looked up at Clemo, covered in his own sweat from the painful rebirthing process. What the fuck are you looking at? What just... Fuck off! Holy shit, this is eternity? Oh, you just wait and see, idiot. This is only the beginning. I see they had a little fun with you, too, while I was gone. Well, get used to it. Clemo turned away from the window. What the fuck am I gonna do? The two said nothing more to each other. Clemo eventually passed out. The thirst was overwhelming upon waking up. Somehow, that was worse than the pain of his extracting pieces. He peeked out of the window at the warlock, who had his back facing his direction. Then the voices and laughter returned. They came down the hall just as before. Clemo quickly hid from the window. He kept his ear open, trying to mentally prepare himself for a fight, knowing he could not win, but refused to give up. The men opened the warlock's cell. The middleman pointed at him, barking orders to take him away. Their hoots and hollers continued as Clemo heard them dragging the warlock out of the cell and down the hall. Only when the last footfalls faded did Clemo dare steal a glimpse out of the window. No one was there. They left, completely ignoring the teleporter. Why would they ignore me? No answer came to him. Clemo eventually passed out again within his cell. Upon waking up, his throat was too dry to ignore, as he had been trying to do. Keeping his mouth shut in order to conserve what moisture he could, he felt his tongue utterly and completely withered, almost sticking to the dry roof of his mouth. Forcing his exhausted body to stand, he staggered over to the only view possible to gaze at the warlock. His screams have already begun. which was the cause of his own awakening. Staring at the warlock a second time, reforming his body just as before, Klimo shook his head. Will this truly be forever? As if answering his question, the warlock mocked. Nothing will ever save you from this. Klimo opened his dry mouth to respond, but his tongue was too dry to reply. Nothing but a hoarse cough exited his raw throat. The warlock produced an empty, dry laughter at the sight of his foe. You are wondering how long this will last, aren't you? Well, let me tell you right now, whatever you did to you, they will do it again and again. Looks like they took your arm, eye, and ear, and are leaving you to die of thirst. When that happens, you will rebirth, and they will do it again. Klimo's eye widened with the realization of the truth of this situation. No. His mouth painfully produced the word. This caused the warlock's laughter to cease. Yes, even after they break your spirit, they will continue to do it, if only for their own amusement. The warlock continued talking, probably to himself, Klimo guessed. If I did my job and killed that psychic you worship so much, I would be the one torturing people. I would rank high among the souls of hell. He shook his head at his own failure. They do not look fondly upon failures here. Klimo heard those footfalls approaching just like before. The warlock lowered his head, terrified at the continuation of his damnation. Those men were not seen. Everything went black as Klimo passed out. The overwhelming thirst was too much to handle. Only a voice was heard prior to unconsciousness, or even another death overtook him. Oh, look, he's finally dead. The rebirth process was as painful this time for Klimo as it looked for the warlock. Everything reformed, and his torment screams were impossible to cease during this process. Opening his eyes, he breathed heavily, dreading the next thing to happen. Through that dread, though, Klimo stood up, fighting his fear of pain, determined to fight these men. He shook his fist, refusing to give in. The door burst open. They flooded in. Klimo stood in the middle of the room. His fist flailed, even making contact onto one of them. It was no use. They had him held down just like before. While they were less talkative this time, their smiles and laughter remained just the same. One arm was removed, then his eye, then his ear. They even carved that scar back over his face. His remaining hand was seized and his pinky finger removed. The warlock was heard screaming while being dragged away. Klimo stared into the eyes of the lead tormentor. His eye held a silent promise. I will find a way. They left the former teleporter in his agony, just like before. Bleed out, rebirth, torment, bleed out, rebirth, torment. The cycle went on and on. With each and every time, Klimo stared the lead tormentor in the eyes, with his one eye still promising the silent promise each and every time. Time ended when the second mortal god died. The material plane of existence was motionless. However, hell has its own passage of time. The procession of time exists here, if only to torture the souls of the damned. Klimo counted his rebirths for the longest time. Eventually, he ceased counting them, somewhere in the hundreds. Still, even after he no longer counted, the rebirthing process continued. Each and every time, Klimo still stared with his silent promise. The warlock's rebirthing process woke Klimo. Through the pain, he lurched to the window to gaze at his foe. When the process was complete, Klimo spoke. Seth! Fuck off! No, you need to listen to me. I said fuck off! We have been stuck here for too long now. This has been every single day. And it will be another 10,000, you naive fool! Idiot! Listen to me! Klimo looked as far left and right as he could. Even listening for approaching footsteps, the warlock held a skeptical smirk, but said nothing as he stared at Klimo. They will come soon. I do not have long. Did you notice the small change last time they came? Sorry, I was being tortured. What was it, and why does it matter? It, it matters a lot. Think about it, Warlock. They have been doing the exact same thing over and over. They have gotten so used to their position over us that they have gotten careless. In what way? They used to deal with us one at a time, but yesterday they dealt with us at the same time. There are even less of them now. So we have a chance, granted a very slim chance, of teaming up and overpowering them. The next time we are both healed, which will be in 2 days, if they remain this careless, we stand a chance of attacking back. The warlock shook his head in disbelief. How is that possible? How is what possible? That they would lower their guard? Humans are lazy by nature. I am surprised they have been tenacious for this long, to be honest. No, I mean, how is it possible that they have not broken your spirit after all of this? I gave up after my 3rd life here. We have fought several times. You have even taken my soul at one point. Tell me, while you had all of my memories, was there ever a time I gave up? Klimo ceased talking as he heard footsteps coming. Remain exactly the same. Give no indication. Be tortured and give them the screams of pain you always give them. Do nothing different. While always one to hold a grudge, the warlock was not above putting that aside for his own well-being. Cowardice and anger led his mortal life. While he always chose the easier path, his mistakes were never due to stupidity. Klimo's logic rang true. Cowardice always trumped his hatred. The warlock nodded his head. They did not even bother looking at Klimo as they dragged the warlock again, the same as they have always done. Klimo leaned back, waiting on his own death to occur. When the warlock rebirthed, no words of exchange between these two took place. They must wait, and wait they did, biding their time until their rebirths were synchronized, and they awakened at the same time. Nothing new occurred. The men did exactly as they had been doing, all the while suspecting nothing. After Klimo inevitably died once again, upon the painful rebirthing process, he rushed to his window. The warlock was already waiting. They nodded at each other. Odds of success were not in their favor, but they will never get a better opportunity than this one. Footfalls. The two crouched next to their respective doors, waiting. The doors opened at the same time, as predicted. Both men rushed at the thuggish crowd. Klimo was lucky enough to catch them off guard, to where he was able to seize a sword from one of them. The warlock was not so lucky. 3 of the 5 men grabbed the warlock and commenced beating him and stabbing him with their own weapons. Klimo, with a single swing, decapitated the one with the bone saw, then stabbed the middleman in the heart, while staring at him with both of his refreshed eyes. He wore a smile as he died, a mocking smile that laughed at Klimo with his final breath. Klimo turned his attention to the other 3. They were still pummeling his former foe. I could just leave him. He deserves this. On the warlock's face was a sad expression, pleading for help. Klimo shook his head. No, I'm better than that. Rushing to the rescue with a singular swing, the first man fell dead. The second swing rendered the second man literally disarmed. The third man laughed, dropping his guard entirely. Klimo took the opportunity, ended the final one's life as well. Klimo extended his hand to help the warlock up. They laughed at us. Why do you think that is? I almost want to thank you. Think about it, Klimo. We come back to life every time, so will they. Nothing can truly die here. The warlock picked up the rusty saw. I am terrible at fighting without my powers. If it is true that no one has power of any kind here, then I am the most powerful person here. Klimo walked down the hall with his sword at the ready. The warlock wore a doubtful expression as Klimo walked. Maybe this was a bad idea, he said. Maybe this escape attempt will only make our suffering worse when they catch us. If you truly fear that, then you shouldn't have helped me. Coward, go back to your cell and beg for the lesser punishment then. Seth lowered his head. Hell has changed him. Klimo did not look back at the warlock. He would have argued with me to no end, calling me an idiot for hours when he was mortal. They have truly broken his soul, but not mine. The corridor was long. No other doors were on the left or right, only the ones they occupied back here. For 5 minutes they moved in a straight line, the only light source being from luminescent rocks placed every 20 feet. Their glow was faint but efficient. Finally, they reached the end of the passage with a singular door before them. They looked at each door. Klimo gripped his sword with both hands, preparing to slice anything that came through, while gesturing for the warlock to open it. He leaned forward with a shaky hand, slowly grasping the doorknob. He gave a slow turn. With a gentle tug, a crack was formed. Seth peeked inside. 12 men, possibly more, Seth whispered to Klimo. What else? They sit at a table. I don't recognize any of them. Wait! A demon or devil is among them. Mephistopheles? Klimo asked. I've never met him. I have no idea. He sits in a chair. Throne, maybe? He must be in charge here. His skin is red. Must be a devil. This guy is big, muscular, and big. He has 6 arms. I cannot see his face. He's turned away. None of them are facing us. We could very easily sneak in and ambush them, though we would lose. I bet we could sneak past them. Where did they take you every day? Klimo asked. They took me here. None of these men were here before. I could see all of the torture tools they used on me. What do we do? We cannot stay here. This is the only way we can go. We could stay here, Seth whispered, almost became too loud. Here, in this spot, we are safe. Klimo looked at the warlock sadly. Never call me an idiot again. Your fear controls your every thought. Summon whatever courage from that shattered soul you have. And if you don't have any, then lie to yourself about it. You're always good at lying, so do that. Sneak? I could see a door past all of them. Both men remained crouched. Opening the door slowly, they crept in, attempting to step as soundlessly as they possibly could muster, hoping to move unnoticed. The room was filled with torture tools, benches, and devices, along with barrels and shells. There were plenty of things to hide behind as they hugged the wall, slowly progressing through the room. Reaching the halfway point and hiding behind one such barrel, Klimo stole a glance at the devil sitting on the chair with the tall back. His eyes widened with surprise. Uncontrollably, Klimo blurted out, Red! Every man in the room turned their attention to Klimo, including Seth, whose eyes were full of terror at Klimo giving away their position. Klimo stood up straight, refusing to hide any longer, fully accepting his blunder. Seth stood up as well, grabbing Klimo by the arm. I got him! I prevented Klimo from escaping! I brought him to you! Klimo swung around, slashing his sword, cutting the warlock's upper portion of his head clean off. He narrowed his eyes. I'm not surprised. Klimo turned back to Red, and the 12 men were still staring at him. So, you finally got out of your cell. I've been waiting for you this entire time, Junior. You shouldn't exist. Red shrugged, standing up. His 6 arms shared the shrug in unison. True. Jason saw to that. I am a walking paradox from a timeline that does not exist. I absorbed every single Klimo, including you. He began pacing back and forth, upper left hand on his chin, upper right hand behind his back, and 4 upper right hands cracking their knuckles. So, where do the things go that should not exist when time changes? Well, I never died, yet here I am in hell. It was not hard for me to establish dominance here and gain rank. Though I must confess it truly is not fair that none of our powers work here. I could literally do anything. He shook his head, returning his gaze back to Klimo. Their faces were identical. No idea what you're talking about. Klimo raised his sword. Me and the other Klimos killed you. We deconverted you, restoring every Klimo. Jason had nothing to do with it. Red ceased his pacing. He faced Klimo. Kill him already, he ordered his men. The surrounding men charged, swinging their weapons. Klimo saw their incompetence with melee combat. These lackeys have been torturing others for so long, they have no idea how to fight. They fell the moment they came in range of Klimo's skilled swings. The final lackey backed away slowly, only to be stabbed in the back by Red. I would call that stupid, but he'll be back tomorrow. Yes, and I'll kill him again and again. The others will get to torture him how they see fit. I've essentially demoted him in the ranks of... Red was cut short, both verbally and physically. Klimo swung. The six-armed Red blocked out of instinct, only to find himself a five-armed man. Attempting to draw his weapons, Klimo seized the opportunity by removing yet another arm. Red jumped back, attempting to space himself from his alternate. Klimo lunged forward, fully expecting that response. Two more swings removed two more arms, leaving just the top two, making their bodies equal. All those Klimos, and you depended fully on their powers, and not in the slightest on their skill. Klimo swung again, only to miss. Red had two swords drawn, still having more weapons than Klimo. He swung both simultaneously in an upper arc. Klimo ducked down, stabbing into the chest. Without slowing down, he pulled the blade up, ripping Red's upper body in half. While still connected, he fell down, lifeless. Klimo slumped down on the ground, catching his breath. Looking around, there was nothing unique here, just the dead bodies. He stood up, facing the other door. No time to hesitate. I have no idea where to go. The thought did not stop him. Picking up both Red's blades, Klimo slashed one while carrying the other two. Can't have too many swords. Walking out the door, Klimo found himself looking upon the courtyard, spied upon earlier with Jason. The sky was gray, with no sun to produce sunlight. The darkness there was dispersed by the same luminescent rocks spread out around. Some prisoners were slumped down against walls, trying desperately to keep to themselves, while others were working in groups to beat down other inmates of the sixth hell. Everyone was either part of a gang or beaten down slowly for the amusement of a gang. Klimo remained unnoticed as he walked through this expansive courtyard. His swords were lowered but firmly held. Why does this place even exist? Klimo paused at the sight of three men beating to death a helpless man. I could save him. Hey! One of those brutes ceased the beating as they looked up at Klimo. Just what the hell do you think you're looking at? Klimo said nothing, yet continued to stare at the man. This man began approaching. You want to stare at me? Do you have any idea who I am? He pulled from his back two short knives to match Klimo. I'm in the 99%, bitch! Just what the hell does that mean, 99%? The man chuckled as he looked back to his men, who had also ceased beating the bloodied man. Hey, boys, look at this, a newbie! He looked back at Klimo wearing a big smile. You are at the bottom, a bottom feeder. You have no rank here. If you have to ask that question, you are at the 100%, which means everyone gets to torture you as much as they want. You see this guy? He kicked one of the men leaning on the wall. He's 100% like you. And just how do I get to be 99% like you? You earn it. The man moved to Klimo. Both men stared into each other's eyes. You can start by dropping those swords and getting on your knees. Then you can suck my dick. After a month of that, maybe I'll. Klimo slashed this man across the chest, refusing to listen to another word. Big mistake, one of the other men said. Well, come at me and see what I do to you, Klimo taunted. The goons shook their heads as they stepped back. What? That's it? Afraid of me, are you? You can take your 99% and shove it up your ass. The men smiled as they backed away further from Klimo. Klimo bent down to help the wounded man on his feet. You fool! I have no idea what you thought attacking a higher ranking soul was a good idea. I don't care. Get up. These people are done hurting us. The ground rumbled. No, we are not. Klimo looked back to see a creature, possibly a devil, or even a demon, massive in size, scales, claws, wings, and a grin that hungered for Klimo's soul. The old man scrambled to distance himself from the man that saved him mere moments ago. As did everyone. The former teleporter refused to take his eyes off of the fiend before him. Raising his swords, Klimo prepared for a battle. His feet slid apart to ready himself to propel forward to attack this thing. Hurling his body was the last thing he knew prior to everything going black. This demon had no problem crushing him with a single downward swing of a weapon he wielded. Once again, the rebirth process took place, painful as usual. This could never become dull. The pain felt fresh every time, thus ensuring that getting used to the pain was impossible. When his eyes opened, Klimo found himself in the same cell. Standing just outside, peering into the small window, was that red-faced Klimo waiting. They locked eyes. Well, I want to first congratulate you on moving up in hell. I have convinced the superior devils that far outrank us to allow you to move up. Red paused. Klimo said nothing. It was not easy, you know. Why would you even want that? What sick and twisted game are you playing? Red shook his head, chuckling. Interesting question, but ironically, I am not playing a game here. I cannot absorb you, and it would be nice to have a like mind around. So you bastards finally grew tired of tormenting me every day. Not in the least. In fact, there are quite a few of eager souls to hurt you. You made quite the scene yesterday by not only escaping here, but also by killing so many on your way to the courtyard. And you didn't even stop there, did you? Then what? You want me to go up this ridiculous rank system solely to have someone to talk to? Red scoffed. Idiot! You still don't get it, do you? You are damned here, like me and everyone else. Surely being the tormentor is better than being the tormented. You cannot deny that logic. No, it isn't. I will never be like you, Red. Too many times did you do things I would never do. You became corrupted. That is a thing I will never do. I do love your tenacity, Junior. Through your constant fighting of demons and fighting in general, you have exceeded every other Klimo, with the exception of me, of course. Red examined Junior's defiant expression. We are going to break you sooner or later. We have eternity, you know. So that's it, huh? Wanted me to bow down and worship you? Forget it. Just get back to killing me. Oh, you poor naive fool. I tell you what, let's go for a little walk, you and I. You may go on this walk should you promise not to get out of line. Simply walk with me and observe. Klimo hefted a sigh. Fine. Ah, good. Let's go then. The door opened. Klimo walked out, seeing every single person he killed yesterday standing by, eagerly awaiting Red to give them the okay on inflicting suffering onto Klimo. Red proceeded to walk down the hall, motioning for everyone to get out of the way. All obeyed as the two Klimos walked past. The eyes stared into Junior, promising misery, pain, anguish, and everlasting torture. The two Klimos walked out into the courtyard. Following them were those promising pain with their staring eyes, who kept a short distance. As they walked, Red spoke. You see, Junior, as you already know, nothing works here. Not just magic, psionics, divinity, and other supernatural things, but even fire does not work here. Believe me when I say I have tried to escape this hell. Just outside of this place dwells the things that killed you yesterday. They are massive in size and watch us constantly. They have a very strange respect for the ranking system here. Red paused to look out past their prison at one such creature in the far distance. The thing stared back. You see, I am high enough rank to actually look at them, but only for a moment. He moved his gaze. Even I would be killed by them if I looked long enough. They continued to walk. Your will is strong, my friend. Junior winced at being called a friend. I want to show you what happens to those with strong wills around here. They continued walking into another building. The hallway was very similar to the one from the previous building, with the exception of more cells lining the walls. They stopped at the first cell. Inside, there was a man chained up, currently being stabbed repeatedly in the legs by another man wearing a smile. Red pointed to the chained up man. This guy, in his life, was an executioner. He killed many men, and sometimes women. He might have just been doing his job, but he killed all the same. Therefore, he is damned here. He has a very strong spirit. His will refuses to break because he is self-righteous about what he did in life. Red paused, allowing the suffering man's screams to be heard. He has been here longer than myself. Talking to himself has done nothing. Every time he insists he was just doing his job. The fool will be at this for a very long time. Come, let me show you the next one. They proceeded to the next adjacent cell. Here was a man begging for it all to end. Two men were cutting and stabbing this bound man. Do you notice the difference between this one and the previous one? Red asked. What do you mean? Klemos asked. Oh, come on, think. Oh, what is this one's story? Red sighed. Not that it matters, but their story involves being part of a raiding party that slaughtered dozens of people in order to feed their own hungry mouths. Junior narrowed his eyes at the two men taking pleasure in stabbing this man. Then his face contorted as he realized. This one is begging for them to stop, while the previous insists they did nothing wrong. Red snapped his upper right arm. That's right. Now tell me the real difference. What makes these two different mentally? Junior frowned. The second one, you people have broken their spirit. They will do anything to have their pain stop. He shook his head. But if that is the case, why do you continue to harm him? He is ready to join your ranks and do whatever you want. Red laughed. That's right. However, he took too long to break. Oh, we know he will do anything for us. His loyalty would be unending. We gave him a fair warning about joining us. They refused us for too long. Too many times did we offer him the option to go up rank, and too many times did he deny us. We no longer care if he goes up rank or not. He is far more useful as an example than as a servant. Red turned to Junior. Do you want to guess how many times we offered him rank? Junior looked into his alternate eyes, seeing only malice and hatred. He shook his head in response. Twice. We never offer anyone rank a third time. As much as I want you by my side, you will not receive any special treatment or additional opportunities. I have offered you rank once. The next time you refuse it will not go well for you, my friend. Worry not. I can see the confusion in you, so I will make this completely clear. This person's fate you will share. Red pointed to the third cell, which was empty. That will be your new home. You will be made an example just like these two. Fret not. You will have plenty of time to think about it. Soon you will beg me for rank. Red smiled. That is what I want you to know. I want you to beg me, for me to know that I have finally broken you into submission. Would be a nice little joy for me. Your eternity here would improve. His smile dropped. Otherwise you will occupy that third cell and be just another example. Notice how empty it is, don't you? No one has refused a second offer after being shown this. Hell is relentless, but you will accept being the tormentor of the tormented. Red looked behind Junior. Take him back to his cell and begin your own retribution. Red waved his hand to the men following. Unable to resist or stop them, Klimo was seized by the ones he had killed just yesterday. They dragged him out of this building, through the courtyard, back to the other building, and into his cell. Throwing him into that wretched room, they smiled just under their promising eyes as they took turns beating him, ripping him, tearing him, stabbing him, and eventually one killed him. Rebirth. He opened his eyes. Klimo let out a sigh of exhaustion. Standing at the door was the middleman from before. Behind him was Red. Welcome back, Red mocked. I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is this guy gets to hurt you for hurting him. The bad news is you have to be hurt for hurting him. Red laughed, stepping out of the room and closing the door. Oh, and I do not recommend fighting back this time. Your suffering will multiply every time you do. The middleman stepped forward, revealing a torture tool. He wore a smile. Klimo stood up to defend himself. Red shook his head. Don't be stupid, Junior. I will never give up, Klimo responded to his alternate. Look, do what you want to him. If he overpowers you this time, like last time, it will not go well for you, Red said to the middleman. He's a seasoned fighter, the middleman shouted back at Red. Even with this weapon, I am outmatched. As a ranked man, I deserve retribution. Red sighed. Fine, granted. Junior, I would have been more entertained at you trying to stand up for yourself, but he is right. Red snapped his fingers. Two hulking men walked into the room. We have rules in hell and standards. As much as Klimo struggled, he was overpowered by the two men, held down as the middleman did his painful work on the former teleporter. His death took longer than normal. This man took his time carving into him, ensuring he got his revenge. Every single man Klimo killed during his escape attempt received an opportunity to torture and kill him, however they saw fit. Each and every death was a grueling, torturous process. Every single man desired to make their torture on Klimo unique in its own way. The pain and humiliation held him in every single moment. Never was a reprieve granted. These men truly had nothing better to do than to inflict pain. Eventually, only Red stood before Klimo, waiting for him to regenerate. Red bent down, shoving his face inches from Junior's. You know, the question I am about to ask you, you know what will happen if you say no a second time. You also know that there is no escape. Should I be unhappy with what you respond with? It will be my pleasure to attend to you personally each and every day, not just as an example, but for my own amusement. Red paused. Disobey anyone of higher rank, hurt anyone of higher rank, or just plain piss me off, and that will be the end of you, my friend. So, are you ready to join me at my side? The Klimo, laying on the floor, was exhausted. The pain of dying endlessly haunted him. Fear set in as he knew Red was not bluffing. There was no real choice or option. What do I have to do? The weary man said. Red grinned. Whatever I tell you to do. With a heaving sigh, Klimo stood up, ready to serve. Still holding his grin, Red stood next to him. His left arm was around Klimo's neck from the right. His middle arm was patting him on the back, while his bottom left arm was wrapped around his waist. We are going to have so much fun, you and I. I got a few tests for you to go through first. The two walked out of the cell. They stood in the courtyard, looking at the same man Klimo helped or thought he was helping when he came here. This ragged man lost all hope. He stared at the two Klimos, awaiting their commands as soon to be inflicted torture. His eyes were dead, while his cheeks sagged. His arms swayed about without thought. This man was borderline lethargic. First, Red began, I want you to torture this man. Red pointed to an adjacent table and tray holding various hooks and knives. I know how you think the idea of harming someone unnecessarily is something you would never do. So go ahead and hurt this man. Hurt him the way the others here have hurt you. Klimo turned to the tray, examining it. They want me to hurt this man. He's a murderer. I can only assume that he deserves to be here. But still, this is wrong. Morally, if I do this, I am no better than these men. If I do not do this, my fate will be sealed, and I will be in agony for all eternity. No matter what I do, I will be under these damn souls forever. Hey! Red shouted. Pick one and get to it. We have eternity, but I don't have all day. I have people to kill, and you are trying my patience. His eyes stared at a long knife. I could kill this man fast. Is that even better? Of course it is preferable. Am I just making excuses? Reducing torture is still torture. Sabin, what should I do? You have 5 seconds to choose one and then do this, man, what we have done to you. A quick death. His rebirthing would still be torture. 1! What choice do I honestly have? 2! An eternity of being the inflictor or being the inflicted. This is truly hell. 3! I have experienced this pain here for too long. Too many times have they killed me. I hate this. 4! I will not count to 6. Klimo touched the long knife quickly, feeling it, then firmly took hold of it. His eyes winced close, hating this choice, hating this place, and most of all, hating Red. 5! Klimo threw the long knife straight into the man's heart. Before Red could even finish his word, the man let out a gurgling scream of agony as he died from the missile. Red stomped his foot while clapping his hands. Well done. For a moment, you actually made me think you wouldn't do it. Red walked over to the corpse on the ground. He pulled out the long knife. Though I can tell you are not ready to be like us. You are weak of heart, Klimo. Your spirit is not quite broken, but you are on your way. He tossed the blade at the feet of Junior. If morality is really some kind of issue, which it honestly should not be, then take solace in knowing that every single man here deserves to be here. They deserve to be tortured and killed repeatedly. Junior stared at the long knife inches from his feet on the ground. I don't, he whispered in response. Red laughed. You took part in the death of not just one god, but many. Klimo raised his head, looking Red in the eyes. I do not belong here. Red clapped as he approached Junior. Self-righteousness, I like it. Follow me. The two walked through the courtyard to the edge where a massive gate resided. Red pointed far off in the distance. Just on the other side of this gate was a hulking, red-scaled, winged, clawed, fiendish creature, not the same one from before, but not much different. Past that creature was another courtyard, and more buildings, similar to the ones already visited. There was a pattern of courtyards and buildings stretching as far as could be seen. There was a tower, a tall tower, far away that Red pointed at. All around that tower and stretching in every direction were the same courtyards, buildings, monsters, and tortured souls. That tower, the only thing that is remotely different here, that place is where Mephistopheles is, the god of killers. He owns your soul. It is his will that you became like this. You will be like us. You are convinced of that? Red contorted his face. Are you retarded suddenly? How many times have I explained the alternative? Torture or be tortured. Get with the program. I will not warn you again. Come now, we have another test for you. The two walked once again. Red led the way. This next one involves you not killing, but actually making someone suffer. Red's words continued, but Klimo did not hear them. As the two turned a corner into a narrow alleyway, the two-armed Klimo was pulled into a dark corner. Shh! Came the voice of Jason. As Klimo had his mouth covered, the two made eye contact. Klimo nodded and Jason uncovered his mouth, turning around to the wall behind. The former psychic wasted no time removing part of the wall, revealing a tunnel. Jason rushed in, waving for his friend to follow. Jason returned the entrance to the previous position, concealing it once more from the outside. What? Red's words echoed in the courtyard. Footsteps were heard, rushing every direction. We do not have long, Jason whispered. I am sorry I have taken so long to get to you. They had you under guard the entire time. This is the only opportunity I have had so far. Where have you been this whole time? Klimo asked. Shh! Jason insisted a second time. It is not safe to talk here, or anywhere, but it is less safe to stay here. We must go. This tunnel, Klimo guessed, was hand dug by Jason. Jason looked withered and tired, yet his pace was fast and silent. He wore a determined look. They exchanged no words as they quietly moved through this slowly descending, ever-shrinking shaft. The roof became lower the further they moved, to the point where they needed to crawl. The place was too dark to see and had none of those stones seen in the courtyard and buildings. Klimo had to hold on to Jason's tattered robes just to keep up with him. The leader moved faster through here, never stopping to think or ensure he was going the right way. Making several turns, he felt that they had multiple ways they could have been gone. After over an hour, they finally stopped. Jason stood up, stretching his back. I need you to move forward. Stand if you like. Klimo stood up as he moved as directed. He felt the former superior psychic push something against the passageway, sealing it while concealing it, no doubt. You have taken quite a lot of caution here. We are in hell, Klimo. Jason revealed one of the glowing rocks by removing a thick rag from it. The small makeshift room became illuminated. There was a pile of rags that were once clothing on other damned souls that were clearly Jason's bed. There were several worn crude digging tools made out of metal poles with sharp rocks attached to them. Another pile consisted of bones that appeared freshly gnawed on. Klimo's eyes widened at the sight. Their bloody remains answered a question Klimo had not considered and was too scared to ask. The very thought unnerved the former teleporter. I have starved to death countless times here. Seems he has not. Nothing else occupied this room. Have you been living here the entire time? Klimo asked. At first I was blending in with the other souls, but I soon discovered a small hidden area. Well, it was only hidden during certain times. I took full advantage of those times and made my little tunnel system. Do you like it? Klimo shook his head, removing the question and the sight from this hideous room from his mind. Jason, what's the plan? Plan? Jason retorted, confused. Yes, plan. You know, hell, Mephistopheles, kill him. Oh, that! Well, my friend, We have hit a bit of a snag on that one. My progress is incredibly slow. I only just now managed to save you. When I sneak out, I try to learn everything I can. Jason paced the same way a crazy person might pace with their hands making too much motion. Clemo noticed the beard Jason wore. It was an unkempt mess. No one knows anything about Mephistopheles. I don't even think he comes here. All the stories are conflicting. Some believe he is a massive in size, while others think he is skinny and small. He ceased pacing to look at Clemo. His eyes were that of a madman. Something about this place changed Jason. I do know where he is, at least, whatever good that does us. If you know where he is, then we stand a chance at killing him. Kill the god of killers? Ha! Jason's laugh was hysterical. That is an interesting, yes, indeed interesting. Well, getting to him is impossible. I tried to dig into his tower. It became hotter the closer I got. Then I found out the source of the heat. Lava, if you can believe that. He waited for Clemo to respond. The swordsman said nothing. That tower has a moat of lava going all around it, and I have no idea how deep it goes. How many times have you died here? Where do you rebirth out? Died? I haven't. Why do you ask? Jason, being secluded here like this might have done something to you. Well, I couldn't possibly be in worse mental shape than you. You died countless times, yet somehow they haven't broken you. How is that possible? Clemo's frown deepened. It shouldn't be, he admitted to himself, just as much as he admitted to Jason. Mentally, I'm no juggernaut. You have far more mental endurance than I, yet I am holding it together far better than yourself, and I have endured far worse. I am just as confused as you. I have an idea, but I think you are right, and we should focus on Mephistopheles. I didn't say that, Clemo said. Shh, doesn't matter. We gotta kill him. Get out of this hell. Again, Clemo regarded his friend with confusion. How? No idea how to get past that moat. Besides, we never had a problem killing demon lords and devil gods. Yes, we did. And we had our psychic abilities. I had my sword and magical vision. And sometimes we even had help from the good gods. Jason flashed that crazy look in his eyes for a brief moment. I believe we have something. What? He shook his head, refusing to answer. No. I will not tell. Besides, I am not certain I am right. But if I am, Jason snapped his fingers, it is worth the risk. What risk? What is it exactly? We are only going to have one chance at this, and we will have to trust me. Clemo wore a doubtful expression. I think you might have lost your mind, Jason. Clemo was amazed at how the words just rushed out of his lips. Jason waved his hand, dismissing the notion. So what? It doesn't matter. Once we proceed out of this hell, I can just fix my mind with a snap of my toes. Shouldn't we make a plan and strategy? Work our way to that tower? Jason smiled. He rushed over to the rock to move it out of place, then scrambled back into the crawl space. Better keep up with me or you'll get lost for sure. I made one hell of a maze here. Clemo swiftly followed suit, refusing to allow Jason to be more than a foot ahead of himself. As they moved on their hands and knees through Jason's labyrinth, Jason was actually humming, I have never heard this guy sing, let alone hum. They are going to torture us for eternity. Jason extended his back to Clemo, letting him know they were stopping. Clemo, Jason whispered, pausing for his friend to acknowledge his voice. Yes? You did not ask me how I escaped while you were captured. Why does that matter at this point? Clemo asked. I spent my first year of training without any powers. I traveled to amazing places and learned a great deal of things. I was even held prisoner at one point and tortured for weeks or months by dark elves. I have always regretted that part of my training, viewing it as a waste of time, which would have been better spent focusing on my psychic talents instead. Here, though, that portion of my long 25-year period of training has truly paid off. I would have been captured along with you. It was just a thought I had. Whatever you're planning, Jason, if it doesn't work, we will be their playthings for the rest of eternity. You know that, right? Jason did not respond to the question. Instead, he budged the rock before him to peer outside. In a few seconds, we will move outside. When that happens, we have to move quickly out of here and to our feet. We have to look as though we are no different than the other damn souls here. Keep a look of despair on your face. Keep your head down and walk slowly as if it truly does not matter where we go. Do your best to appear exactly as the others. Do you understand? Before Klimo could answer, Jason fully moved the rock. Now! He whispered. The two scrambled outside. Jason exited first and instantly got up, shuffling his feet forward. Klimo moved just as quickly, but his feet movements, being as unpracticed as they were, looked forced more than natural. Without even trying, Klimo saw the men of rank rushing around in every direction, looking for me, no doubt. They shuffled past one of the men that Klimo killed not too long ago. The man did not notice them walk by as he tossed his head, looking around in every direction. The two reached a fence. Jason leaned on the fence, looking out at the tower in the distance. Klimo did the same next to Jason. What do we do? Klimo whispered without taking his eyes from the former tower. We tried, Jason whispered back. On what? Jason nodded his head at the direction of one of the massive demonic winged things roaming around outside of the courtyard. On one of those. My God, Jason, you truly have lost it, haven't you? We should go back to your hole and come up with a better plan. Trust me, we won't. A hint of old confidence, Jason, rose out of his whispered voice. Klimo clung to that, trusting his friend. All right, what do we do? Listen, Klimo. Jason paused to look around. If I'm wrong and they torture us forever, it won't matter. Here, no psychic power works, no magic works, no divinity, and no death work here. Not even demonic powers work here. If I'm wrong, then we have no way out of here. But if I'm right... His words were either confidence or desperation. Klimo could not tell which. This is the only way. We are going to lure that beast to us. When it comes to you, you are going to mount it and command it. Jason, I cannot command that thing. Just try it, okay? Before Klimo could respond, Jason continued, Listen to me. His whispered voice struck into Klimo. Think only of the prospect of success and confidence. You must command it with a commanding voice. Jason, this is a bad plan. Too bad. Now the only problem we have is how to get him here. I made one come here when I killed one of the men of rank. Jason looked directly at Klimo. He smiled, then backed off of the fence, turning around and then running to the nearest man of rank. Jason revealed in his hands a shank, which took little to no effort in stabbing into this man, killing him right away. The surrounding prisoners were alarmed by this action. They backed away as quickly as they could, giving Jason plenty of space. In just seconds, the winged beast slammed onto the ground, just a few feet from Jason. Jason smiled as he waved at it. Any time now, Klimo! Klimo shook his head in disbelief. The former teleporter followed through anyway. The monster's back was already to him. With a great leap and 3 kicks off of the thing's back, Klimo had his arms wrapped around his neck, with his mouth next to its ear. I command you, take us to the tower. The demon snatched up an unresistant Jason, then took flight towards the tower. Many bystanders were watching, including Red. His jaw dropped from this display. The alternate Klimo was speechless. As they soared through the air, Klimo screamed at Jason, How in the fuck did that work? Jason held his smile, feeling excited and hopeful for the first time ever here. The man refused to answer the question. The fiend dropped the two off on a balcony at the top of the tower, then flew away, confused by what it had done. Clemo couldn't take his eyes off of the bearded Jason. He didn't even take in the view around, thus was oblivious to his surroundings. "Nice to finally meet the two of you," came a voice from inside. Clemo jerked his head to the direction of the voice, finally realizing his confusion must wait. Instinctively, he reached for his swords, only to grab nothing. Alarmed, he quickly looked around, taking in his surroundings. The balcony was nicely decorated with flowers of a great variety. Inside, a massive dining table was lavished with a feast. The food was steaming from being fresh. Every delicious food they had ever conceived was before them. Over 3 dozen empty chairs lined both sides of this table that was stretching away from them. On the end closest to them was no chair. On the furthest end was a chair. Sitting on that chair was the devil god himself, Mephistopheles. There were the same glowing rocks here, but in the shape of beautiful statues lining the walls. In between the statues were decorative paintings of exquisite design. Mephisto sat casually, cutting a steak with his delicate fingers, holding the utensils. His skin was red, and he did have small horns protruding from the corners of his forehead. His back hair hung at shoulder length, casually yet well groomed. His clothing was peculiar in the sense that neither Jason nor Clemo could tell if it was clothing or his natural skin that he wore. It blended too well with what was certainly skin on his hands and face. "You have come a very long way just to kill little old me," he mocked. "Come, sit, eat, relax. We have eternity. I want you more comfortable than you were in that danky old prison I keep down there." Jason lunged forward, snatching the first bit of food he could find and shoving it into his mouth. He did not cease his gorging on the food before him. Clemo stepped forward, disgusted by his comrade. "You knew we would come. How could you have possibly known that? Nothing works here, and yet you knew we would be here precisely now." "Correct," the devil responded, then brought a bite to his mouth. His teeth were ordinary. They were more human-like than demonic. He chewed the bite. "Have you noticed something different about everything recently?" Clemo grabbed 2 of the table knives, then slowly walked closer to the seated devil. "No, what?" "Well," he cut more steak, "you were being tortured a great deal. So I understand if you didn't take note. Well, I suppose I will just tell you then. You killed Beelzebub." "Yes, so?" Clemo gripped the 2 small blades, preparing to strike. He was still some distance from the seated devil. "The Lord of Lies?" Mephisto asked. "Yes, and?" "Think about it." "Yeah, God of Lies, what are you getting at?" Mephisto shook his head, disappointed. "I have no idea how you got this far, and have no clues as to what happened. How many gods are dead because of you two?" "Not enough." Clemo was halfway to this devil. "When deity died, chaos no longer existed. When Guardian died, law ceased existing. Time went with him. Lord of Lies." Clemo stopped walking, realizing what this devil was saying. No one can lie. Mephisto kicked his chair back, jumping up, standing straight with his arms raised high. "Bingo! Holy shit, are you slow?" He walked to the side Clemo was on and began approaching him. Clemo resumed his pace. So now that we established we can't lie, what are you getting at? The devil did not stop, but did shake his head once again. What am I the god of? Murderers. Close! I am the god of killing, death, and yes, murderers. If you actually kill me, what do you think will happen? I don't care. You should. Whatever is so important that the two of you actually made a real decision to go into hell. Jason raised his head with his mouth full and actually paused his eating simply to interject, "To kill." He struggled to speak and chew at the same time. Every finally swallowing most of the stuffing in his mouth. Devil and demon! Jason immediately returned to chowing down. Clemo turned around to look at Jason. If we kill him, then we cannot kill anything else. Give a special prize to the slow guy with the knives. Mephisto clapped his slowly, mocking the former teleporter. By now the devil and Clemo were just a few feet from one another. It won't be hard to kill me, boy. Just look how frail and weak I am. He pointed to his body. We are going to kill you. And then you will go kill Ilsensind and Disgrull and Asmodeus. Oh, wait. He pulled out a chair, turned it to face Clemo, then sat down in front of the man with the knives. He pulled open his shirt, or possibly tugged at his skin. Clemo was uncertain. Raising up his two pointer fingers, Mephisto pointed at his heart. Well, go on then. Killing me will end all death. You can't kill me. You need me. A whole lot more than I need you. Yet we saw Despator die, and suffering still exists. I saw that. I also saw how Garrix took his divinity before you even met Despator. How can you kill him if you kill me? Mephisto smiled with a wide grin. Garrix is a powerful one, isn't he? God of fire, chaos, darkness, time, law, torment, greed, and cold. I have no idea how you could even stop him. Garrix won't come here to my realm. None of his powers work. While he is a massive dragon, he would be overcome by my endless supply of devils, like the one that flew you here. However, did you convince him that was a good idea? I told him to do it. Mephisto let go of his chest or shirt. You told him to do it. Jason stood up and was finally done eating. Yes, that's right. Also, thank you for the meal. Holy shit, Jason, Clemo said as he turned back to Jason. Get your shit together. We have a devil god to slay here. But Clemo, he's right. How can we kill the other devil gods if death no longer exists? Jason asked as he moved towards the other two. Jerking his head back to Mephisto, Clemo thrust his knives forward. We'll figure it out later. Mephisto jumped back, dodging it. Clemo continued to thrust at this devil, continued to dodge. There is nothing to figure out. Just give up and serve me forever. Why the fuck would we do that? Clemo screamed as they continued what could be described as a dance. Mephisto laughed. His limber movements dodged the swings with ease, showing that he refused to just give them a win. His whole body correlated in the strangest fashion. He could bend any part of himself with no difficulty, and to no limit, like he was made out of joints. Jason finally caught up. Picking up a chair, he threw it at Mephisto, who was backbending at the waist. With his legs standing straight, the chair crashed into the table, sliding over and spilling food in the process. The three entered a strange series of failed attacks along with successful dodges. Mephisto never made an attempt to counter. Jason picked up a second chair and this time attempted to use it as a melee weapon instead of a projectile. Upon taking his first step, he was tripped by something that was under that chair. Claymore and the devil continued their fight without Jason. They jumped onto the table, moving further along. Jason looked back at what he had tripped over. His eyes lit up with excitement. Really? You hid that thing under a chair of all places? Clemo glanced back to see what Jason was talking about. In his hands was the hell box of the sixth hell. Jason struggled to open it without hesitation. His hands moved around it. Ineffective in his attempts, Clemo returned his full attention back to the devil. Why aren't you attacking back? Because I don't have to. You could summon some devil or even have those ranked men come here and kill us. Why do you just dodge? Oh, you'll see. This devil jumped off of the table, running. Jason still struggled to open the box. Mephistopheles took hold of it. The two tugged at it back and forth. Clemo rushed behind, stabbing into the back of Mephistopheles. This devil god laughed as the knives pushed through his back. He fell to his knees, still holding the box. Jason tugged with all his strength, but it did nothing. As if triggered by the dying Mephistopheles, the box opened. Out poured the smoke-like substance, moving through the air, going around the dying devil into the mouth, nose, ears, eyes, and pores of Clemo. The ceiling cracked as a massive red claw slammed into and impaling that devil. Taking a hold of him, it retracted, leaving just as swiftly as it crashed in. The ceiling was torn open, and Garrix, the Fire Lord, was seen flying away. Divine energy exited the body of Mephisto and entered Garrix. Then the dragon was no longer seen. Clemo fell to his knees. What just happened? Clemo's eyes lit up with magic. He looked at Jason and saw his aura once again. Jason, I can see what is happening? You did not kill Mephistopheles, but Garrix had taken his divinity. I think that whatever power is in this place no longer holds this place. I can only guess that the Hellbox had something to do with dispelling this place. How did Mephisto even die? I thought nothing can die here. I do not know, friend. We have to get out of here. Clemo stood up. Extending his arm, he utilized his power to manipulate space. From deep in the prison, his sword vision vanished. Clemo clenched his blade once again. Now we go. End of Chapter 6.